everybody. Welcome into the National Sports Podcast. Today on the podcast, sorry, I have to find my podcast paper. Today on the podcast, we take a look at our NFL Super Bowl picks, talk about is Tampa a legitimate team? Patriots, we take a look at their team, the Chiefs, the Ravens, we'll talk about them all. I have my buzz, we'll get into the NBA playoffs. Are the Celtics a legitimate chance at going for it all? The NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. What's wrong with the Red Sox? And we make my predictions on the whole NFL season. Oh, and today's games. Getting you ready. That's all coming up on the National Sports Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome into the National Sports Podcast. My name is Cameron Simpson. Those of you that didn't know, those of you listening only on Spotify or Google or whatever you're listening to, welcome. Those of you listening on my YouTube channel, Cameron Simpson, hello. Normally there would be somebody joining me today, but nobody here today because we just couldn't get anybody in. But hopefully maybe we'll have an interview with someone in a few minutes, and if we can do that, then that would be cool. But that would be about it today. But I'm still going to go and talk about the stuff on the podcast and talk about what I normally talk about because it's still a pretty big deal throughout sports to be able to do what we're doing right now and be able to have podcasts and be able to do these things. So hi, everybody. Those of you listening only, just remember to please hit the subscribe. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cameron Simpson. It's going to be very awesome if you do that for us and everybody here because when you subscribe to the channel, you can see us talking with video, or if you're just listening only on the podcast, you can just listen only on the podcast, and that's about if you can do that too. So let's dive right into it today. Again, just me, no one else, but we're going to try to do a podcast every Sunday and get it out to you every Sunday from now on and see if we can do that day in and day out. But first, the NFL Super Bowl picks. So I've been asked about this a lot, and I made a video on this just a few days ago, so if you guys want to go check that out, go check it out. My channel, Cameron Simpson. Again, go subscribe to that. Hit that notification bell. Those of you that are watching this probably are already subscribed, but if you're not, do that. But yeah, the Super Bowl picks for me, who do I think will make it all the way to the Super Bowl? Honestly, guys, I've said this many, many times. The 49ers last year really just had a tough start. They just couldn't get to where their potential is, where they really should be, and where I think they are as a team, where they are. They are a very good competitive team that can make it to the top level just as having some struggles making it there, having some struggles making it to that top level. They're having some problems making it to the Super Bowl, making it to that final stretch, winning the Super Bowl. That's what they're having some struggles on. I think they're ultimately a very good and very competitive team that you need to take very seriously. So are the Ravens last year. They had a tough break. Honestly, they had a tough break. I don't think they had anything wrong with them. I just think they ultimately had a tough break last year. It was just their struggles ultimately struggled for other people too. It wasn't just one person. It was a lot of people that had problems with last year. They just couldn't beat the Chiefs. And it's tough to beat the Chiefs. I'm not going to lie. And with seeing them play Thursday night, the Chiefs, they're just a good team and they're a really good football camp. And they're going to be able to go out there and kick butt week in and week out. I don't see why they can't. And I honestly don't see how any of you could actually think they will not perform to their top potential, because they are such a good competitive team that knows what they need to do, what they need to have, how they need to do it, and why they need to do it. The Kansas City Chiefs this year, I'm telling you right now, are not going to make it to the Super Bowl. Like everyone is saying, they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl. I ultimately think that they will make it to the conference finals. I believe they'll make it there because they're just such a good football team that really I don't think anyone's going to beat them this year. Maybe a few teams that are lucky can get in there and beat them, but honestly, I don't think anyone's going to beat them when they're at their top potential. I don't think anyone's going to beat them when they're at their top potential. No. Who's going to beat them when they're there? Who's going to beat them when they're playing at their best? Honestly, tell me. When Patrick Mahomes is making throws all the way down to the end zone and the player catches it, but just couldn't complete that, they're eventually going to find a way to complete that. A 40-yard throw, they're going to be able to find a way to complete that catch and make that from a 30-yard throw or a 40-yard throw touchdown instead of an incomplete, because that's how good he is. And when he's on his game, no one's going to beat him. But the Ravens are the same way. When they're on their game, really, only the best teams will beat them. Only the best teams will beat them when they're on their game. Very much so. Only the best teams. And then 49ers. They are one of these teams that I compare strictly to the Ravens. I compare them to the Ravens because I think these two teams both are about the same style of play, style of competition, and they're same style competitors, and can do this all the time. They're a very competitive team. Very. So are who I think ultimately could be their competitor when it comes down to these finals. This team is very unknown right now. Very unknown. And I could see this going two ways. I could see the Seahawks making it all the way to the finals from the way their years have been showing that they can compete at a top level. I could definitely see the Seahawks making it that far to play the 49ers. This division has a lot of good teams in it, and it's going to be tough. See, with the East division, there's two top teams, and then the rest of the teams kind of fade in, is what there is. There's two teams, and the rest of them fade in. But, and I just dropped my marker. But even with two teams that are at the top, there's always a third team. And that's what I said here. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be a competitive team, just with all the unknowns. Marking them as making it all the way is a gutsy move. And that's what I made. I made that move. I say they make it all the way to the conference finals. They'll lose to the 49ers. But they're a team that, with even all of their unknowns, is a competitive team that really can go out and perform to their top potential. Very much. They can do it week in and week out. That's how good they are. But we don't know how good Tampa Bay is. We don't know if Tampa Bay is ultimately that team that can do that because we haven't seen them play. But Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever, arguably, and he's probably going to end up doing that. So we need to think that he might do it and know that he really is going to do it. And that's the mindset we need to have going into this. And the Seahawks, they'll be the third party, I think. I think they'll be the third party. I think they'll make it far in the playoffs, and I think they'll be the third party. Anyway, my Super Bowl pick, as I made it before, is going to be the 49ers this year. It's going to be the 49ers. And when there's more people in here, like more people with different opinions than just me, you guys let me know in the comments. You guys let me know if you guys want to be part of this podcast. We always looking for special guests. If you have YouTube channels, we'll definitely promote you while on the podcast, always. And if you're ever interested in getting into it, let me know. Let me know how you want to be in and why you want to be in, and we'll consider it. Give us some contact, stuff like that. And I will definitely consider getting you on this podcast because having special people, special guests in a podcast is ultimately our goal. It's ultimately our goal. It's ultimately what we like to do. We like to have special people here and have people in the podcast, and it's always fun. It's always fun. So let me know. Comments, of course. I don't know if comments will be turned on for this video, but if future videos, if you want to be in the podcast, just let me know, and I will always consider it as a done deal. But yeah, I think that's my Super Bowl pick. And when we get Parker back in here, where he can give us his pick as well, and maybe we can get Nicholas in here, he can give us his pick, because I think we're going to do podcasts every Sunday, as I said in the beginning. And we can get people's picks in here and make it ultimately a good pick. We'll see. And we'll see what they think about that. Tampa Bay, we talked about them. Are they a competitive team that can make it all the way? Ultimately, no, yes. There's so many unknowns. We'll find out around 7 o'clock tonight. Basically, the Patriots, we did not talk about them. I think they could be a third wheel on this Eastern Conference. I know it's surprising to some, but I really think they could be a third wheel that disrupts all of it. Disrupts the show of these two teams. Will they make it to the Super Bowl? I don't have that happening, but I do have them as that third wheel team. Cam Newton coming out. We'll find out around 4 o'clock today if Cam Newton and the Patriots are a legitimate shot, and I will definitely touch on that on my channel later on. The Chiefs, we saw them Thursday night, a heck of a team competing for wins after win after win after win, week in and week out, week in and week out. They are a team that can just go out there and win every day, go out there and perform every day. They are a team that I think is the biggest threat to these teams that aren't good at all. These teams that stink. They are the biggest threat. The Ravens, look, they blew it last year. They were a Super Bowl favorite and they blew it. Will they do it this year? I don't know. I do have them going to the conference finals and making it to the Super Bowl. So I am actually rooting them on. But I also have a little bit of an asterisk on my picks. Can they actually perform it? Can they actually make it? Can they actually do it? Will they actually do it? And how will they actually do it? All those questions there. Let's go into the buzz. Buzz. Those of you that don't know the buzz, this is a segment of the show where we go through many different stories around the sports that we really want to do and want to talk about, but we're not going to be able to do all these different stories. Just my buzz today. The Lightning, are they playing dirty? Because we've seen this week, the Lightning players have been called for 2 5-minute majors and 1 cheap shot at the end, and scores the winning goal, of course, but then there's a brawl. So I just want to say, are the Lightning a cheap team? Are they being cheap in the playoffs? And we've seen some not great hits that probably wouldn't slide. Just saying. Just letting you all know. That's my buzz. Are they a dirty team? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Come to playoffs, they are really playing aggressive, which is normal for hockey. But when you make aggressive moves that come out to be dirty, there's 2 different things. There's aggression and there's dirty play. And dirty play is not tolerated. If we see a brawl at the end of the game, that's what you know what I mean? Aggression is tolerated. That's respected. But dirty play is not. And when you have a team that's playing dirty, like the Lightning might be, it's something that needs to be considered on. It's something that needs to be talked about throughout the team, the crew, everyone involved needs to talk about that and needs to do it. So we saw an exciting NBA playoffs as we seen. These NBA playoffs are really going good so far. The Celtics make it to Game 7 against the Raptors. Celtics and Raptors, here we go. Celtics end up winning the Game 7 match by a very close end, and the Raptors are leaving Orlando, leaving the bubble and heading back to Toronto. Both of these teams played very well in the series. Lowry is probably the best here for them, and that's part of the reason they made it as far as they did. But now, let's go to something a little more wide. Are the Celtics a legitimate favorite for the championship? They're playing the Miami Heat, who somehow beat the Bucks. So I'm not going to say the Miami Heat are a low-rated team. The Miami Heat are a very good team if they can beat the Bucks, but they're not anything like the Celtics. Yeah. Yep. They're not anything like the Celtics. They're not anything like any of these teams. You know, they can't go out there and they're not competitive week in and week out. They're kind of like the Islanders in the NHL playoffs. But in the NHL, it doesn't matter as much as it does in the NBA. So the Celtics have a good chance at beating them, but we can't look over the Miami Heat here. They can easily beat the Celtics, but if the Celtics are on their best game, Celtics win. No questions asked. No further argument, please. No further argument. We know that's going to be what the case is. We know how that's going to go. We know how that's going to go. And there's no further argument on that. The Celtics play the best game, the Celtics win. If the Celtics are like the Bucks and blow it, then they lose. And that's just how it's going to be for this series. This series. That's how it's going to be for this one. Other series, I don't know. I can't tell you. I can't tell you how it's going to be. But for the Lakers, I think they make it all the way to the finals. I think they'll win. And that's going to be the worst case scenario for all you fans of the other teams. All you fans of, let's say, the Celtics. Because the Lakers are, I think, better than the Celtics. But again, I think it will be a very close finals if the Celtics make it there and if the Lakers make it there, or when both teams make it there. And who can go fully in, who can make it all the way, and who can continuously compete to the ability that they should be competing at. Now, I'm going to tell you right now who I think it's going to be. I'm going to tell you right now. I think the Celtics are going to lose in the finals. I don't think they can. I think they're a legitimate shot. Boston Radio's Adam Jones said he thinks they're already won. He thinks they already won. The Bucks would be their only chance of not making it to the finals. And if they blow it, it's a disappointment. And I think if they blow the finals, it's also a disappointment. I think they could win the finals, but will they? Can they? Will they go there? If they can't, it will be a disappointment. If they can't, it will be a disappointment. And that's all I'm going to say there. The Celtics have a chance. The Celtics have a legitimate chance of making it all the way there, even further than all the way there, making it twice the times there. And they will. I think they will. We're going to touch on what's the problem with the Sox. Next podcast number 3, will be put on the channel Sunday or Monday. Stay tuned for all that information and stick with Cameron Simpson. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, Cameron Simpson, for the upcoming time. Those of you who are listening, on listen only. Finally, today, I think we do look at all the games, look at them all for my NFL predictions for today. First of all, those of you that disagree with this, whatever, I don't care. I hope to make as many of these predictions right, and I hope to go back and say I made it right. First game, we're going to talk about Jets and the Bills. The Jets are not going to win this game. I'm going to tell you that right now. The Bills win. Go 1-0 in the season for the Bills. There's no way the Jets are going to pull this one off. And if they do, I'll be surprised. I'll be very shocked. So they'll be done. Packers versus the Vikings. Another pretty good game. Pretty good 1 o'clock game. Both teams are pretty evenly matched. I'm going to go with the Packers on this one. Vikings got rid of some people. I don't think they're going to be as strong as they were last season. So, just saying, that's my thoughts on that one. The Eagles versus Washington. This is an interesting matchup. I think the Eagles are going to take it against Washington. But it is still a pretty interesting matchup. Ultimately, both teams are very competitive. Browns versus the Ravens. Ravens, no question. I'm sorry, the Browns are just not a good team. They've never been since I started watching the NFL. The Browns are going to lose. Browns are going to lose. Sorry, they're a part of my bus. The Browns are going to lose. If it's bad of me to say it, the Browns are going to lose. Colts versus Jaguars. Colts. I think the Jaguars are a bust as well this season. And I think with getting rid of their running back and their good players, losing them to Tampa. Colts. Raiders versus Panthers. Panthers. Great quarterback, great running back, great team, playoff team. Panthers beat the Colts. The Raiders, excuse me. Bears versus Lions. Well, this is not a good game at all. This will be a low-scoring game in my mind. But it's still a game that we need to consider an okay game. So I'm going to go here with the Bears. And surprisingly, maybe for some of you, I think the Bears are a good team, and they've made it in the playoffs in past years. I think they can easily go all the way and perform at their top potential. The Seahawks versus the Falcons is our next game. I'm going to go with Seahawks. I think it'll be a very close game, maybe a 3-point game at the end. But I really think the Seahawks get it. Dolphins versus the Patriots. Cam Newton, opening night. I think he's going to do great. I think he's going to win the game against the Dolphins. Let's hope he doesn't blow it, but I think he'll end up winning this game. Chargers versus the Bengals. Another all right game. Chargers are going to win, even though it's that first round draft quarterback for the Bengals. He's not going to win. Bengals aren't going to win. Sorry, guys. Cardinals versus 49ers. If the game still plays, that's a 4 o'clock game. Air quality issues was a concern, so if the game is played, there you go. Buccaneers at Saints. Well, tune into this game. Saints are a terrible team on opening day. On opening day, they're consistently bad. They've lost 6 in a row, and that is something I can't get away from. That's something I cannot get away from seeing, that Drew Brees and his Saints are bad in the opening day consistently. Tom Brady and Buccaneers, we don't know. And there's too many unknowns for me to say they'll win the first game. There's too many unknowns. I can't say they're going to win the first game with all these unknowns on that team. Last year, they were terrible. So I'm going to go with last year and say the Saints are going to win. I know they have a different team this year, but I just don't have enough to say that they can go all the way. Tom Brady and his Buccaneers. I don't have enough to say that that's going to happen. Cowboys at Rams. Another pretty good game under Sunday Night Football tonight. That's actually a really good game. I'm going to go with the Rams, but I think it'll be another close game. Cowboys will be right there the whole game, but I'm just going to go with the Rams on this one. The Steelers versus the Giants is the first Monday night game because the first week we have 2 Monday night games. Steelers. I don't even think I have to say anything else. Steelers. Titans versus the Broncos. Titans. Monday night games are terrible this week. That's the Titans. It's time for the final take. For my final take, I just want to let you know, thank you all for watching today. Have a fabulous day. Hope you enjoyed this edition of the podcast. It's pretty different than the other ones we've done since it was just me today. But whatever. Thank you all for watching this, guys, this podcast. Those of you who are on listen only, make sure to subscribe to Cameron Simpson YouTube channel and keep watching this podcast. Make sure to follow the podcast if you're on listen only. If you're watching, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. All that. Have a fabulous day, everyone. I hope you have a fabulous, fantastic, amazing, wonderful day. And I will see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.